In a world of 350 billion movie podcasts, two chumps have decided that now is the time for cult movies to engage in combat. Disagreements will be had, blood may be spilled, and voiceover artists most definitely will not be paid. This is Cult Film Face-Off.
Hello and welcome to episode 46 of Cult Film Face-Off. My name is Chuck Rogers, with me as usual is Nick Leonard.
Dead meat.
This episode we're going to be looking at two movies from 1986. 1986 also being the year in which the CBS classic TV series Knight Rider was cancelled, which may or may not be a coincidence. We're looking at Black Moon Rising and The Wraith, both from 1986, but we will start out with the film that came out in January of 1986, which is Black Moon Rising, directed by Harley Cocklis. After stashing some incriminating evidence in the boot of a priceless high-tech vehicle prototype that's subsequently stolen, former professional thief Sam Quint joins forces with the car's owners to retrieve their livelihood and save his own skin. Black Moon Rising.
Meet Sam Quint. When the government has a job they can't handle, they get him.
You are a thief.
Hell yes. His specialty is getting in.
What makes you think I'd help you?
You have an honest face.
Getting out.
You've got no help, no nothing. You've got 3 days.
And getting away with it.
What exactly do you expect me to do for you?
Not a thing. You know this man?
No.
But this time the rules are different.
I'm gonna take all the heat that comes down on my head. I'm gonna transfer it to your body.
The stakes are higher.
You betrayed me.
I only wish I had.
Because stealing from Sam Quint is the biggest mistake you can make. Now he's going in. After her. After them. After the Black Moon.
The game is over.
I wish there were a couple of ways we could do this.
There's only one way.
Tommy Lee Jones. Linda Hamilton. Bubba Smith. Robert Vaughn. From the mind of John Carpenter. Black Moon Rising.
Okay, Black Moon Rising. Saw it on every video shop shelf when I was a kid. Never rented it. Never saw it. How about you? Have you seen this before?
I never saw it, never come across it.
You didn't recognise that video box cover?
No.
Oh, I saw it on every video box shelf. So, okay, so you
I have no idea about it. No, never any idea it existed.
Okay, so, did you love it?
I certainly didn't love it. So it starts off and the credits are rolling up the screen. And I'm seeing Tommy Lee Jones. I'm seeing Robert Vaughn, Linda Hamilton. I'm like, fuck,
yeah.
This is a solid cast. Then Bubba Smith pops up, Officer Hightower from Police Academy.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, okay, I'm in. Very lively 80s synth score. A little bit Mike Oldfieldy, done by Lalo Schifrin,
legend,
composer legend, who did
Mission Impossible
thing.
Yeah.
And the story is by John Carpenter, interestingly as well.
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed the first opening sort of 20 minutes when you're introduced to Tommy Lee Jones. He's infiltrating that building. He gets shot at. I'm like, oh, okay. This is okay. This is looking all right. It's just from that point onwards, it's very meandering. There's no snap or pop really in the dialogue exchanges. I thought the script was really flat.
I wouldn't be surprised. I meant to look into this in a bit more detail to try and find out exactly what John Carpenter contributed, because this does not feel like a John Carpenter film at all, because John Carpenter's films are methodically plotted, and I honestly have never seen a film where I truly 100% reckon you would lose nothing if you took out the central almost hour, because the film sets up a premise at the beginning and then it executes it at the end. Everything that goes on in the middle is completely inconsequential, and we've talked loads on this podcast about B movies that spin the wheels and they try and just keep the plot going as if they're trying to pad out the runtime. When Tommy Lee Jones is beaten in a car park, I was like, I can't sit here and watch any more of this.
That beatdown is one of the most gratuitous beatdowns. It's completely unnecessary.
And it goes on forever. Really long takes, just so much time wasting. And I don't know if John Carpenter had. I mean, there are little. John Carpenter does sort of hard-boiled dialogue really well, and there's a couple of lines where I thought that's. I guarantee you, John Carpenter wrote that line. Just a couple of.
No, the lines of dialogue that have some flair is the exchanges with like Bubba Smith and with Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah,
there's a scene in the toilet.
That's right. Yeah.
And done really well.
Yeah, I'm just. John Carpenter's films don't meander like this.
You know, Robert Vaughn is good. He's a great baddie. You know, he's chewing up the scenery. He's entertaining to watch, but it's very isolated. And then you've got this love story going on with Linda Hamilton and Tommy Lee Jones, which I didn't really buy into. What? Because they're both thieves? You know, there's a line of dialogue where she goes, I haven't got any friends. Well, neither have I, but we're both thieves. What? I mean, flatness. Yeah. And then cue some slow jazz piano. Yeah. Have you got a favourite scene in this movie?
I mean, the acting is all over the place in this movie, and the guys that play the heavies that beat up Tommy Lee Jones, it's like watching actors in a children's play, and they're performing in a stadium, and they want to make sure that the kids at the very top are getting the performances. I mean, when they're beating Tommy Lee Jones, I was like,
this is so over the top.
It is. I mean, they're hilarious to watch. It's like watching kids' TV, but amplified 100 times. So, I mean, I suppose in terms of a favourite scene, I guess that one.
Yeah, well, my favourite scene is a super over the top, amped up scene. It's the scene where Lewis, who is Robert Vaughan's chief henchman, played by Nick Cassavetes, mows down Tyke Thaden. Do you remember this sequence?
Tyke Thaden? No.
So Tyke Thaden is one of the guys who's developing the Black Moon car. He's the guy that when it gets stolen, he's seen sitting on the bonnet of a car swigging from a bottle of beer. Like he's completely...
Nick Cassavetes?
Nick Cassavetes is... He mows down Tyke...
I know Nick Cassavetes is in the Wraith.
He's also...
Is he?
He's also in Black Moon Rising.
No, you're joking. Is he?
He's Robert Vaughan's henchman. He's the cold-hearted, slick-back hair killer.
Is it?
Yeah.
I had no fucking idea.
Yeah, it's a Nick Cassavetes double bill.
I can't believe I didn't spot that. That's fucking weird. But yeah, go on. So I know the guy when he gets run...
So this scene is great. So it's basically... everything's crushingly over the top about it. You've got this sustained... string is like whee. It's very artistically shot, and then just before the impact, he just glides 20 feet up in the air, like he's bounced off a trampoline. Yeah. And then it cuts to Billy Lyons, played by Dan Shaw, who was Billy the Kid in Bill and Ted. He just goes, ah! Yeah. It's fucking brilliant. Unintentionally hilarious. That's my favourite scene.
When I was a kid and I saw the box, I always thought, okay, they're trying to rip off Knight Rider. And when you first see it, they're not. But at the very beginning, when you're first introduced to this prototype car, some of the shots are, I'm sure they're identical to the beginning of Knight Rider, like when they're testing it in the desert. I was like, I'm sure that shot is in Knight Rider. And also, the way the film looks... In addition to there being fade-outs relentlessly, and it's very episodic anyway, it feels like TV. It looks exactly like an episode of Knight Rider in terms of the way it's...
Well, I was going to say the violence is very Knight Rider.
Oh, yeah, very, very
even the way the punches are scored.
Yeah, right.
You've got that just very 80s TV thuds and doofs.
Yeah, and there's lots of reflective surfaces, and there's a real dearth of darkness. There's hardly any visual darkness. Everything's very, very floodlit almost. So it does look like 80s television, very much so.
I mean, special mention has to be given to Linda Hamilton's Rick James weave that she wears at the beginning of the film.
Yeah, that is a hairdo, all right. Yeah, I mean, it's just so inane how much it wastes time, and it really. I mean, there were a couple of moments where I was just slap my head because the dialogue was so stupid, and again, not reminiscent of stuff that John Carpenter would do. I mean, the tiny little moments, like there's a scene where Robert Vaughn, who's this mogul of car. Here's another thing, a question I have. There are rackets like this in movies all the time. Do rackets like this exist in real life, where people still
mass car stealings?
Yeah, they steal expensive cars and they sell them.
They just chop and shop.
But that's primarily people, who are looking to make money. Individuals.
I think it's a filmic conceit that they're these guys, these highfalutin, earning loads of money.
He has his own.
He seems like a character straight out of a film.
Well, exactly. But that's what I was trying to. Why do these businesses keep being depicted in movies? Because I just thought if you're stealing expensive cars and then selling expensive cars, if you're buying an expensive car, just go and buy an expensive car. Because if you're buying it from a criminal, that's not great, and it's second hand anyway. Go and buy an expensive car. it has to be profitable for them because he lives in a fortress and he has a security detail. I was like, how is this a business? It's not real. Anyway, so I was just thinking they can't be a business that actually functions the way.
But it's the sort of guy that Michael Knight would come up against.
That's very true. Yeah. So yeah, there is a lot of Knight Rider in it. But yeah, sorry, as I was saying, there's just these inane little moments where I don't think the director was really. It's like there were lines in the script that didn't apply to what they were shooting. So there's a scene where two workers come out of a freight elevator with a car, and Robert Vaughn says, "Put them with the others." It's a room full of cars, so they just put it outside. And I was like, that doesn't apply. And then towards the end, when they're actually robbing the place, an alarm goes off, and one of the two guys that are robbing the place, the guys who own the prototype, one of them says, "What's that?" I mean, it's the alarm of the building you're trying to break into. There's loads of lines where I don't think the director was sort of militant enough in making sure that stuff that was not supposed to be in the movie was actually sort of. It may have applied on the page, but it just didn't work in the film. Also, do you remember that bit where Tommy Lee Jones is like staking out Linda Hamilton's place? And a girl walks past and she waves at him, and he waves back and then turns to us and goes, "Who the fuck was that?" I'm like, why is that in the film? I thought, okay, she's going to appear later on and it's someone who didn't... No? It's just a moment where Tommy Lee Jones waves at someone and then goes, "Why the fuck is she waving at me?" Why not? It takes up 30 seconds of screen time.
Yeah. I mean, this director. You have a look at his credentials, and he's a guy that's exclusively been directing television series. He's done multiple episodes of Hercules, Xena Warrior Princess, The New Adventures of Robin Hood. I mean, this is a TV movie through and through.
Yeah,
I mean, did it get a cinematic release?
Oh yeah, but it does have the air of a TV pilot, and not a very good one at that. Basically, all it wants to be is a time waster. It doesn't want to be anything more than that. And on that level, I didn't hate it. I just thought it was fucking.
I didn't hate it. I just found it very mundane.
It's very boring for a long stretch as well.
And it's just, the opening 10 minutes and the closing 10 minutes are definitely the high points.
Yeah. But I mean, its primary goal is to be high tech and glossy, like a lot of TV of that era.
Yeah, and obviously the problem with that is that they just age crushingly badly.
Yeah, especially when there's no story to cling on to. The time wasting and the long takes is just fucking. Oh, come on, get to the fucking point.
So much soft sax.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lack of action, lack of incident in the middle. I mean, one thing I did think was interesting is at the end when the car drives. It's the same quote-unquote stunt that's performed in one of the Fast and the Furiouses, I think the 7, where you drive out of the window in a building and crash into another building. I thought, what are the odds of there being another large freight elevator in that building? Because I thought it would be very interesting.
Hadn't they plot this out meticulously beforehand?
No, I don't think so.
There was a lot of chat. I mean, I kind of dialed out. There was a hell of a lot of chat going on with blueprints and getting into certain parts of the building. I don't know. Had they not worked that out?
No, I think they were going to go out via the freight elevator in the building they were in. But when they crashed over to the other building, I thought it would have been a far more interesting movie if they had to figure out how to get a massive car down without the aid of a massive sort of... bespoke freight elevator. I don't know.
I think they would have been fucked, wouldn't they?
Yeah, exactly. That's
what I mean. Left the car, take the elevator down.
Yeah. But the other thing is, the guys that own the car that want their car back go to the police. They can prove that it's their car. It's a prototype. They built it, and it's in this building. Can we go to the police? Why would you go to this fucking ex-thief, Tommy Lee Jones? There wouldn't be a movie. It's a very dopey, very bland.
Yeah, there's really not a lot to recommend in this apart from early performances, from Linda Hamilton. I mean, it's a shame because Tommy Lee Jones is great.
Yeah, he's great,
but he's just not given much to go on.
He would never in a million years star in this movie.
No, I mean it's a great that first sequence where the young lad's going into the petrol station to rob it.
Yeah,
it's just that exchange of dialogue and the look of Tommy Lee Jones, just like he's a consummate professional. Tommy Lee Jones. That's where I thought that has the whiff of John Carpenter. Yeah. Because there's isolated scenes that feel like John Carpenter, but there's less than there's probably 2 or 3 sequences that feel like John Carpenter could have sculpted.
I'm sorry I ran out of time, but I wish I had the time to go and see if there was some sort of document about whether it's an interview with him saying what was his and what isn't, because a film that's as fucking flat in the middle where nothing happens it's not what I've ever associated John Carpenter with. So but yeah, not a good film. I mean, if you can watch it somehow without the central hour, you might kind of be entertained if you're nostalgic for movies that look like fucking Knight Rider.
It's got a half decent trailer.
I haven't watched the trailer.
The trailer's not bad.
Okay.
Stick with the trailer.
Yeah, watch the trailer, you'll be laughing. Okay, is that it? You got anything else?
That's it.
Okay, in which case, let's move on then to The Wraith from 1986, written and directed by Mike Marvin. In a small desert town, a ghostly figure who appears to have revenge on his mind challenges a gang of ruthless street racers, and things very quickly turn deadly. The Wraith.
An evil force took his life. An unearthly power has brought him back. He is a phantom, a wraith, a cosmic spirit given another chance.
Are you new in town?
Yeah. Who's the kid?
I turned my back, and the next second he was there. Like magic, almost.
You ever seen one of those before?
Nah, let's just add it to our collection.
There's a kid out there using his car to kill people. Not that it's such a big deal, since it seems to be your gang he's got it in for.
Hold on! Grab the shotgun, Mama Luca.
A wraith, man! A ghost! An evil spirit, and it ain't cool!
What are you doing? Packard, stop!
Get in the car!
What are you doing, man? You
Get out of my face, Burger Boy! You wind up dead like your brother!
Hey! Who is that guy?
I don't know, but whoever he was, he's weird and ticked off.
I see his eyes, Loomis!
Who are you?
Who are you?
The Wraith. If you've done nothing wrong, you've got nothing to fear.
Okay, The Wraith. I'd never heard of this. I saw a poster about 6 months ago, and I didn't even realise this film existed.
The poster's very cool.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean that's the 80s aesthetic that everyone's. It's very. I mean, it's what our logo looks like.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I thought, okay, we've got to have a look at that movie. I'd never seen it in a video shop. I didn't know, considering the amount of stars in it, I literally had no idea this movie existed. So I went in completely blind. Did you know what it was?
Ditto.
Yeah, okay. So,
ditto. Yeah, I had no idea about this movie, never heard of it.
So, I mean, how was The Wraith?
Firstly, I mean, I don't think we can't escape dry ice and blue mist in this podcast. Film after film, and this has got it in fucking spades. You know, I think I've seen my fill of films that have got a gang of really stupid, inept baddies, and I mean, this has got to rank as one of the stupidest crews that have ever been assembled for a movie.
Yeah, I thought it was. I like the casting's good though. I thought that they are actual oddballs. I thought the performers were alright. I mean, one of them's called fucking Skank, and one of them's called like Brain Dead or something like that. Yeah. But I thought the people who were playing them, you know, Clint Howard's one of them.
Clint Howard is the standout from that crew. I mean, Clint Howard is. I wish everybody was giving it as much gusto as Clint Howard, because he really is giving it some, and he is sporting the most amazing Jewfro ever committed to celluloid.
I think I liked the gang actually. I thought they played their sort of very, very simplistic parts quite well. Although Nick Cassavetes, I mean, there isn't. I don't think there's an American equivalent of this word. But every time I saw him, every time he came on screen, I thought that guy is a fucking prat. He had the squarest haircut ever, and he's just this lanky, unthreatening, smirking guy.
Oh, I had down professional douchebag.
Yeah, but not really. I mean, I suppose the fact that I thought he was such a dickhead is a good. He wasn't a convincing. He didn't look like a fucking.
The problem is he's annoying, and I don't think they wanted to convey an annoying. But they wanted to convey someone who was really dark, and he's got this kind of, you know, they make this kind of linkage to him and devil worship to a certain degree. He's wearing the ram, and he's like, he likes pain, and he's a masochist. And I didn't believe that he was capable of killing or inflicting any damage on anybody.
But also the fact that one of their crew dies early, and he's like, oh, I don't really care about that, and the rest of his crew still sort of have allegiance to him.
Well, the problem is that crew, Oggy Fisher's crew, have zero reaction when any one of their crew dies.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, when they're told by Randy Quaid that his remains wouldn't fit in a cigar box, even though when we do see him, he is a fully fledged cadaver.
Yeah, right.
That's fucking odd, actually. So on that first death of the crew, there's a comment made that says he looks like he's just got out of a hot tub.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And I don't know what fucking hot tubs these guys are using, but ones that make your skin bleach white and burn your eyeballs out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, the dialogue is a little bit dopey, it has to be said. But I think in a movie like this, there's copious car chases in it, and all you can ask for in a car chase movie, really, is that they're coherent so you understand what's happening, and that in most shots, that all of the cars involved in the car chase are in shot, so you're not just cutting between two separate events. I think it does those things quite well, and I think the car chases are actually really good, but particularly the main central one where they're sort of winding around the sort of cliff roads and stuff like that. I thought that was a really... Yeah, I mean, I think the action's actually really quite good.
For me, if I'd watched this film when I was like 9 or 10 years old, I would have loved the fuck out of it. Because I fucking loved, Knight Rider. I was borderline obsessive as a kid. I had a fucking Knight Rider jumper, I had a Knight Rider controlled car, and I probably would have really liked, as a 9 or 10 year old, the extremely over the top characters. Yeah. You know, one of the crew is drinking like hydraulic fluid throughout the time and kind of tweaking. Yeah. That'd have been funny for a 9-year-old me. But yeah, it didn't. Sitting now as an adult watching this film, it was kind of The car chases are done well. The comedy in the script is just, really uneven.
The thing is, I really didn't mind this film just because it's clearly aimed at children, and it is wall to wall cheeseball pop music. There's a lot of hair metal and power pop.
The soundtrack is brilliant in this film.
Yeah, I thought it was. You sent me an image the other day, and it was of somebody who clearly collects copies of the Wraith, and they have
is the most the most impressive collection of Wraith films, and vinyl.
Yeah, I thought
we should post it up on on our Twitter and Facebook because it's fucking impressive.
Yeah, no, and I can totally understand why somebody would have that level of nostalgia for it, because
if you've seen it as a kid,
the relentless pop music and just how it is actually quite an efficient. It's one of those standard Avenging Angel plots, but I didn't mind this movie at all, to be honest. And it was actually, unlike the movie we were just talking about, the plot's moving. There is momentum. It's moving forward. You're constantly. I was never really bored here.
It goes along at a good pace, just like the cars that it features. But Charlie Sheen's in this, looking about 12. But he looks really uncomfortable delivering these lines of inane dialogue. He did land his breakout role in Platoon after this film, thankfully. But he just looks awkward, man.
Yeah, and it's basically it's a glorified cameo.
Yeah, people love the shit out of this movie. Online you can see a hell of a lot of love for it.
That makes perfect sense. We've spoken about a lot of movies where I don't understand why people have any kind of love for them, but this I kind of understand it. I could imagine myself having been completely obsessed with this movie when I was a kid. Ironically, considering we've just paired it with Black Moon Rising, this is more reminiscent of a John Carpenter film than that is, because there's plenty of action and all of the action kind of moves the plot along. So it's not like watching Tommy Lee Jones get beaten for 6 hours. It's actually more reminiscent of a John Carpenter movie. Did you? It's kind of similar to the plot to Dead Man's Shoes, the Shane Redhouse film.
Saying that as well, you can also compare it to The Crow and to High Plains Drifter, which use the same plot, the same narrative construct as well, about a victim coming back from beyond the grave to exact his revenge.
It is a little bit half-baked. At one point Charlie Sheen says, I think he says something along the lines of, I've only got a bit of time left, so because he's essentially a ghost, you think he's going to go back to from wherever he came, but the ending, when I predicted the final shot midway through the movie. I said there's going to be him and Sharon Fenn on a motorbike disappearing. I said the sunset, but
as soon as he rocked up on his little on his little quaint moped to go and see her, I was like, well, they're going to ride off on that.
Yeah, right. But if he's only got a limited amount of time left, she's fucked if they're on the bike when he has to go back up to heaven or whatever, because she's just going to fucking career off the road. That would have been imagine that as the ending. He ended up killing her. Also, at the end, Charlie Sheen, when he's going away, he gives his brother the car, which is a murder weapon. Yeah. So it's like, again, I'd like to have seen after the credits him getting busted for killing all of those people. I thought that's well harsh. Here's a sweet car. Oh, by the way, everyone's looking for it.
By the way, you're implicit in multiple murders and roadway felonies.
Yeah.
The last race is done especially well, I think. There's half a dozen police cars in pursuit. A lorry carrying cars spills out onto the highway.
Yeah.
It's all done very well.
There's a few surprises in it. The plot has momentum. I mean, a very, very hard film to dislike. I mean, it's very, very dumb and very, very dark.
But I think the key thing is here is that it's a kids' movie.
It is a kids' movie.
It really is a kids' movie.
Yeah,
all the characters are completely over the top. I mean, it's completely over the top. There's nothing grounded in reality in this film.
Yeah.
There's a lot of car porn in it. Tons of car porn. I mean, the car itself. I mean, there's loads of stuff about the car itself. Like that actual car, that prototype of that car, that is like a $1.5 million car. It's apparently got crazy amounts of tech and high, gadgetry in the body and everything. It's like legitimately.
It's interesting
expensive
that the car in Black Moon Rising, I wouldn't even
crap.
But the car in this, I was like, sweet. Now you're like, well, that is a cool car.
It still looks dope.
Yeah, that is still a wicked car.
Packer, there's one thing I did kind of snigger a bit with Packer, is that every time he kept using the same, he had the same thing that the character Saddam Hussein said in South Park. He kept ending every sentence with "guy."
Does he? Oh, he did.
There, guy.
That's right. Yeah, he did. Yeah, Nick Cassavetes. I mean, I really just
professional douchebag.
Yeah, I mean, again, I did. But
I didn't. I didn't believe he was a. I didn't. He just came across as a douchebag,
as a prat.
He didn't come across as a cold-hearted killer or somebody who looked like he could throw a punch or do any damage to anybody.
But I don't know why anybody would want to be have any allegiance to somebody who doesn't give a shit about all of his supposed mates getting fucking killed. Yeah, it was. But again, trying to pick holes in this is kind of silly. You just go along for this stupid ride.
Yeah. And Randy Quaid's very watchable as the sheriff.
Yeah. I mean, a very, very silly movie, but I mean, I didn't hate it. I mean, I think if you're feeling nostalgic, there's few more nostalgic movies than this. I mean, just the relentless 80s music and the sort of. Yeah, the slickness of it. No, the slickness is wrong. Slickness is definitely the wrong word. But it is quintessentially 80s.
Yeah, it's a quintessential teen B movie.
Yeah. I mean,
and with a cracking soundtrack. I mean, there's Ozzy Osbourne's on there, Bonnie Tyler, Billy Idol. I mean, Christ, they paid some money to use those. Their budget on music.
Yeah, that was
astronomical.
That must have been a chunk of the budget. Okay, well, I have a feeling I know where this is going. If you had to pick Black Moon Rising or The Wraith, which one would you pick to win?
Oh, The Wraith, pole position every time over Black Moon Rising. I mean, it's extremely clean cut.
Yeah, I agree. Black Moon Rising. I'll take your word for it that the trailer is way better than the movie.
Yeah, stick with the trailer. I think Black Moon Rising should stay buried in the 80s along with Filofax's shell suits and casual racism.
Filofax, the movie starring Jim Belushi and Charles Grodin. I thought that was all right.
Oh, mate, what can we pair it with? I mean,
I forgot. It's in America. It's called Taking Care of Business, not Filofax. Over here, it's called Filofax. Anyway, sorry, forget about that. bit of trivia there for anybody who didn't know that. But yeah, okay, The Wraith is the winner. Very, very clear cut. We had a little bit of correspondence on Facebook here. Let me just try and find this. Craig Kennedy says Wraith is awesome. Which I don't quite agree with, but I can understand why you think that. I can understand Wraith is awesome, certainly. Scott Lake says The Wraith was and is one of my favourites. Again, totally understand that. Lauren Dunn, The Wraith is a pretty good flick. Everyone seems to be in agreement about which one of these two films is the best. And Sherv Gordige says The Wraith is such an awesome film. Yeah, I mean, just wall to wall.
Sherv Gordige.
Sherv Gordige. Yeah. That sounds about right.
That's a proper name.
Yeah, no doubt. But wall-to-wall praise for The Wraith, which I can totally understand.
If anybody, no one said a lot about Black Moon Rising.
No, and if they were, I wouldn't know where they were coming from, I have to say. Although, again, nostalgia's a bitch. This is the thing about the podcast, isn't it? But anyway, okay, right, well, the Wraith is the winner. Clear cut. Thank you very much for listening. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with another episode. Check out our social media channels. All of the episodes are posted on the blog a couple of weeks before we record, so if you have anything to say, we'd love to hear from you. Check out our YouTube channel. All the episodes are set to video on there. And we'll be back soon. Thanks very much for listening.
Yes!
Cult film face-off.
One of the newest films from New World Pictures is Black Moon Rising. Based on a story by John Carpenter, this action-adventure thriller is centered around a car, the Black Moon, that is powered by hydrogen and capable of speeds in excess of 300 miles per hour.
I like action-adventure movies, chase scenes, gunfights, pretty girls, fast cars.
In the film, the Black Moon is stolen by Ryland, the leader of an international car theft organization, played by veteran actor Robert Vaughn.
It's an unusual occupation, needless to say, stealing cars on a mass basis. I've never had any role like this that I recall.
This is a business, Nina. We don't take trophies.